So the IOStream library contains this cout object that we've been using for a while now. That's used in conjunction with these arrows and this sort of data, and the data flows along the direction of the arrows in this data stream towards the outward direction, towards the terminal. Well, the IOStream library also provides us with another object called C in this time. And it also has a set of arrows, but these arrows are going in the opposite direction. They are coming inwards, whereas these arrows are going outwards. These ones are going inwards, and they are going inwards typically towards a variable of some sort, right? And what CN is used for is to get data from the terminal screen. Now, more specifically, it's used to get user data from the terminal screen, something that the user of the program has entered in themselves with the keyboard. And so, well, let's just see this in action here. Say that we have some integer variables, and so we have, say, int x, y, and z. Now, I don't think I've ever made variables like this before. Normally, I've just made them sort of one at a time, and that's not incorrect. You can say int x, int y, and int z, and this has its time and place in your code. But sometimes you can also choose to say int x and put a comma, and then a y, and then a comma, and then a z, and then a semicolon. And this will create three variables on the same line that are all integers. You can't do this with separate data types, like you can't make an int x and a float y like this. But if they're all integers, well, yeah, you can just say x comma y comma z, and maybe that's an easier way for you in the moment. Well, here it fits, so I'm going to do it that way. And then, well, maybe we see out something to the screen. If we want some sort of input from the user, usually you have to prompt them to enter that input. So let's give them a prompt. Let's say that we want to see out, say, enter a value for x. And then, I don't know, let's just do it like that. And so now at this point, the program, when you type in cn, and you point that cn towards this variable x, the program's just going to sort of pause here, and it's going to wait. It's printed out enter a value for x to the screen, and it's going to sort of wait on the user to enter in a value. It's just going to hang out for a second, just not doing anything. And once the user enters a value and they hit that enter key, now after they hit that enter, the program is going to unpause and start executing the rest of the directions in the program, the rest of the lines of code. And so maybe we prompt the user to enter in a value for y. And so we'll see out the screen, say, enter a value for y. And there you go. We can just come down here and we can see in something into y. And then maybe this program is just going to add these values up. And so we can see out that their sum is, and then, well, we'll just do the calculation right here. We don't need to save it for this. And then we can drop it down a line, and that's it. That's the program. And so once again, just to trace the program, we've prompted the user, we've printed some stuff out to the terminal screen to enter a value for x, and that flows along these arrows out towards the terminal screen. And then the program just sort of hangs out and pauses and waits for the user to hit enter after entering in some sort of value here. And so they will see in that value into this variable x. And once they've hit enter, whatever they've typed into the terminal screen will now be stored into this variable x. And so we're officially at this point interacting with the user. And so we can prompt the user to enter in a value for y. Same thing, program sort of pauses and waits. And when they've hit enter after entering another value in, that value gets stored into the variable y. And then we're just going to print out the sum is, and then perform that calculation, x plus y, and then drop down a line. So easy enough, right? And so now our program has become way more useful than it ever has. We can enter in new values each time the program is run, and it gives different results each and every time the program is run. So we can enter in a value for x, 10, y is 20, and so their sum is 30, just as we expected. And let's run it one more time for giggles. And so here we can say that 40 and 12, and well, the sum is 52, just as we expected. So easy enough. Now there's also another trick where you can have the user enter in multiple values sort of all at once. And well, they have to hit enter each time, but they don't get prompted each time. Let's put it that way. So to explain what I'm talking about, we can say, see out to the screen, enter 3 values, and wait for the user to do something. And then we can see in that stuff into X, but then keep the data stream going into Y, and then keep the data stream going into Z. And so what's going to happen here is that while the user is going to get prompted to enter in 3 values, the program's going to pause and it's going to wait. They're going to enter in a value and hit enter, and then that value is going to be entered into X. Now the program is still paused and still waiting at this point because, well, it's waiting for something for Y here. And then, well, they're going to enter in another value, and that value is going to go into Y. And then the program is going to pause again and wait again. And, well, now the next thing they're going to do is enter in a value for Z, hit enter. That value is going to get stored into Z. And then we can, for a proof of concept, print those values out to the screen. And so we can say that, well, X is going to be whatever X is, drop down a line to see out to the screen, and that Y is going to be, well, whatever Y is, and then drop down a line, and we see out to the screen that Z is going to be whatever Z is, and then drop down a line. And so let's run this real quick. And so enter a value for X, and so 10 and then 20. So their sum is 30. And so now we're going to enter in 3 values. And so we'll enter in 1, 2, 3, hitting enter between each one. And so now you see that X is 1, Y is 2, and Z is 3 as we laid it out here. Put the first value in X, put the second value in Y, and put the third value in Z. And so that's a CN in a nutshell, and it allows way more interactivity than we've had so far, and you can write useful programs that sort of gather data from the user and do stuff with this data, store in a database, perform calculations. A whole new world just opened up to us. All right, see you in the next one.